Hi everyone, David here, and coming to you with a quick tutorial on how to hire a virtual accountant. And so, if you have a small or medium-sized business and you're thinking of considering to outsource the accounting duties, it's really possible to do that with a virtual accountant. And I'm going to show you how I do that with my own accountant. So why would you even want to consider working with a virtual accountant? There's a few benefits. First is that it's really fast and direct. So when you're working with a virtual accountant, you're working directly with that person through Skype or through email. And they are used to communicating very directly with their clients. So you're going to get really fast response to any queries that you have or an advice that you're seeking out. I found that they're much more responsive than, let's say, a local accountant, which they tend to have a lot more clients, so the response time and even coming up with the reports for the month usually takes weeks and weeks. So you can actually expect that your books, once they have all the data that they need for the month, they can actually get everything processed within less than a week. So I found that is really fast. And of course, it will save you time. If you compare this to you doing this by yourself, you're going to save a lot of time with all the data entry and also figuring out if everything makes sense. You have a dedicated person doing that, and I found that it saves a lot of time, and they're way more efficient than you could possibly be. And it is very cost effective depending on the workload that you have. So that really depends on the number of transactions in your bank statement, how complex it is. It can be quite cost effective. Like, for example, you could start around $100 US or even less, depending if you have something very simple to do. But definitely is worth it because you're taking your hands off something that's very complex and also needs to be done properly in a professional with a professional eye. So I think that's really money well spent. When you are thinking about using a virtual accountant, it's good to understand like is the role of an accountant, to know like what you can give to your virtual accountant. So the first role and the most basic role of an accountant is to do the bookkeeping. So keeping track of all the statements and putting into the accounting software. Making sure that the statements have the receipts and the invoices that back up, and you have the entries, and just to keep everything organized. And the second thing is at the end of your financial year, an accountant would help you to do any year-end closing, make sure everything is up to date, and some accountants even help you with submitting it to the relevant tax authority. Third is if you're using accounting software, your accountant would be very familiar with that, so it will help you generate reports like your balance sheet and your P&L. Payables, if you have any vendors that you need to pay, the accountant can keep track of what needs to be paid out and help you to prepare any checks. Invoicing, also going back to payables, like if you have salaries, your accountant can help you to prepare that. Invoicing, if you have clients or customers, you can just tell your accountant to what the line items are and help generate the invoice and send it to the client if you need. And lastly is advice. So as a business owner, we don't know so much detail into different areas of the business, like statutory requirements or even accounting. So I rely on my accountant to give me advice on, for example, like how to keep all the books better. What's a better workflow for doing all the books. Also, what lines of business are making profit and what's not. What are my biggest expenses. So I rely on my accountant to help me to clarify that. So what are some of the tools that you need to use to make this happen? I use QuickBooks Online. It's a cloud-based solution, so you don't need to install anything. You just need to go to QuickBooks Online and get a subscription, and your accountant can help you set up everything else. So that's what really makes a virtual accountant possible, is because you can access whatever your accountant is doing anytime that you want. It's not like buried on their hard drive and you need to ask them and request for reports, you can go in there and see the progress of your business, or like how up to date it is, by just logging in yourself. There are alternate software solutions like FreshBooks, which is like an accounting software but a very light version. And there's also Xero, which is another competitor product. But I have personal experience using QuickBooks Online. Once you've decided on which tool that you want to use, it's time to look for a freelancer. So I would suggest going to Upwork or any other freelancing site and go look for a QuickBooks Online accountant. So this, you have to find, this is a specific kind of accountant that is very familiar with QuickBooks Online. So you don't need to teach that person how to use the software, because that's very key. This is Upwork, and once you already have an account as a business, you need to look for freelancers that are QuickBooks Online specialized. So what you can do is you can go to freelancers, find freelancers, and then type in QBO Online, or you can do what's easier, QuickBooks Online accountant, and you can see that there are different kinds here. So now you can do bookkeeper or accountant, see which one comes up with good statistics or good entries, and then you're gonna find the top talents that are suggested to you. So you can browse through them and take a look at number one, their hourly rate, how much time they've spent on Upwork, and you can see the skills that they have. So you would look for Intuit QuickBooks as one of the skills, and the important part is you find an accountant that you're comfortable with. If you are more comfortable with people working in the same country, then I would suggest looking for that kind of person. Also take a look at like when they're last active, because some of them might just have a profile, but not be doing much. So you want to make sure that they're quite active online, which means they're taking on clients. Take a look at their job success rate, which means that this freelancer's job is resulted in great client performance. So you'll know that it's not much of a risk to take on this person. Look at the tests that they've done. There's some accounting tests, and you can see some of the past work that they've done. For example, you can just click a profile and read more about it. So of course, looking for all the key skills that you need. Sometimes they have certifications. Make sure that they are comfortable with like Dropbox and Google Drive, Asana, all these different tools that you need to work with each other. Look at the history and feedback they've gotten. Make sure that they are quite used to to being a virtual accountant, and then you can contact them with to be a candidate for your to be a virtual accountant. Okay, so once you've hired your accountant, what are the first things that you need to do to get started? And I would start off by just doing the bookkeeping, because that's usually the most tedious of the tasks. So the first thing you do is you need to prepare all your statements, your bank statements, and your receipts or invoices, so the accountant can take a look at it and input it into the system. So create a Google Drive folder for your accountant and share access, or a Dropbox, and just put all your statements like in the PDF version, or you can take a snapshot of it. A clear snapshot of like a receipt, or you can scan it as well, and just put it all in there. Let your accountant figure it out what it means. Of course, you can help them to understand it better by preparing it into monthly folders, and then you need to give access to the accountant for QuickBooks Online, and in the tutorial I showed you how to do that. And once you do that, let your accountant take a look at everything, and she will come back to you with some questions about like what are some of the receipts about, like maybe some things they don't understand with how the business is structured, or stuff that's happening on the bank statement. So that is that's the kind of the part that you have to input for to the accountant to help her do her job. But basically, that's the flow. And if I've also created a free accounting workflow template in case you want to know more about the details on how to like how you would interact with your accountant, like how you prepare all your documents, and like kind of a template that every month that you would follow for you and your accountant to be very efficient working together. And you can find that on my website. Well, that's all for now. I hope this has been interesting. And if there's something else that you want in terms of a tutorial, let me know in the comment section below.